The hospital room smelled of antiseptic, and the fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, but Elena barely noticed. Her hands trembled as she clutched the test results, the words HIV positive, searing into her mind like a brand. She was 28 and in 3 sentences her world had collapsed. A diagnosis, a betrayal, and a love she wasn't ready to lose. Elena sat on the edge of the stiff hospital bed, her leather jacket crumpled beside her. The doctor's voice was gentle but distant, explaining next steps in tiotrovirals, support groups, life expectancy. She nodded mechanically, her hazel eyes fixed on the paper in her hands. Somewhere in New York City, Sophia, her girlfriend of 2 years, was supposed to be waiting for her. But Sophia wasn't answering her phone. Elena's chest tightened, not just from the diagnosis but from the gnawing fear that something else was wrong. She'd seen Sophia's hesitation lately, the way her smiles didn't quite reach her eyes, the late-night texts she dismissed as nothing. They'd met in a Brooklyn bookstore, 2 souls colliding over a dog-eared copy of Giovanni's Room. Elena, a graphic designer with a penchant for late-night sketching, had been drawn to Sophia's warmth, her infectious laugh, and the way she spoke about poetry like it could save the world. Sophia, a 30-year-old social worker, carried herself with a quiet strength, her long black hair cascading over her shoulders, her brown skin glowing under the city lights. Their love had been a whirlwind, passionate, messy, real. They'd moved in together 6 months ago, sharing a tiny apartment in Williamsburg, where they'd dance to old jazz records and dream of a future filled with art and advocacy. But now, as Elena stared at the test results, she wondered if that future was slipping away. Her phone buzzed, snapping her back to the sterile room. A text from Sophia. "Sorry, got caught up at work. Be home soon." Elena's stomach churned. Sophia's job at the community center didn't keep her out past 8 p.m., and it was nearly 10. She typed a reply, "Where are you? I need you," but hesitated, her thumb hovering over the send button. Instead, she pocketed the phone and stood, her legs shaky. She needed answers, not just about her health but about the woman she loved. The streets of Manhattan were alive with noise as Elena stepped outside. Horns blared and neon signs flickered, but she felt detached, like she was moving through a dream. She hailed a cab and gave the driver their apartment address, her mind racing. Sophia had been distant for weeks, ever since she'd run into her ex, Rachel, at a fundraiser. Rachel, a charismatic lawyer with a sharp tongue and a history of pulling Sophia back into her orbit. Elena had never liked Rachel, not just because of their past but because of the way Sophia's eyes lingered on her, as if caught in a memory she couldn't shake. At the apartment, the lights were off, the air heavy with silence. Sophia's jacket wasn't on the hook, her keys not on the counter. Elena's heart sank. She sank onto the couch, the test results still in her hand, and let the tears come. The diagnosis was a weight she could learn to carry, but the thought of losing Sophia was unbearable. She didn't know where Sophia was, but she had a sinking feeling it wasn't work. Across the city, in a dimly lit loft in Soho, Sophia sat on a worn leather couch, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Rachel stood by the window, her silhouette sharp against the city skyline. The air between them was thick with unspoken words. Sophia had promised herself she'd never come back here, to the place where she and Rachel had once planned a life together. But tonight she'd broken that promise. "I didn't expect you to show up," Rachel said, her voice low, almost teasing. At 32, Rachel was all confidence, her blonde hair pulled back in a sleek bun, her tailored blazer screaming success. "You said you were done with me." "I am," Sophia replied, but her voice wavered. She'd come to confront Rachel, to demand the truth about something she'd suspected for months. Rachel had been reckless during their relationship, partying too hard, taking risks Sophia had begged her to stop. And now, with Elena's health scare looming, Sophia needed to know if Rachel was the source, if she'd unknowingly put Elena in danger. "Then why are you here?" Rachel stepped closer, her eyes searching Sophia's face. "You're with Elena now. Happy, right? So why are you in my apartment at 10 p.m.? Sophia's throat tightened. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but the words caught in her chest. Instead, she stood, grabbing her purse. "I shouldn't have come. This was a mistake." Rachel's hand shot out, grabbing Sophia's wrist. "Don't run from this. You came here for a reason." Sophia pulled away, her heart pounding. She hadn't told Elena about this meeting, hadn't told her about the doubts that had been eating at her since Rachel's reappearance. She'd wanted to protect Elena, to keep her safe from the chaos of her past. But now, with Elena waiting at home, Sophia felt the weight of her secrecy like a stone in her chest. Back at the apartment, Elena couldn't sit still. She paced the living room, her mind spiraling. The diagnosis was one thing, she could fight it, learn to live with it. But Sophia's absence felt like a betrayal she couldn't name. She opened her laptop, her fingers trembling as she logged into Sophia's iCloud, something she'd never done before. Guilt gnawed at her, but desperation won out. She clicked on the Find My Phone app, her breath catching as a dot appeared not at the community center, but in Soho, Rachel's neighborhood. Elena's vision blurred with tears. She grabbed her jacket and headed for the door, her heart a tangle of anger and fear. She didn't know what she'd find, but she couldn't wait any longer. The city lights blurred as she stepped into the night, determined to confront the truth, whatever it cost her. The subway rattled beneath Elena's feet, the fluorescent lights flickering as she gripped the pole, her knuckles white. The image of Sophia in Rachel's loft burned in her mind, each imagined detail sharper than the last. She was 28, newly diagnosed with HIV, and racing across New York City to confront the woman she loved in the home of the woman she feared. The train screeched to a stop in Soho, and Elena pushed through the crowd, her breath coming in short, jagged bursts. The streets were quieter here, the trendy lofts and galleries casting long shadows. She checked her phone again. Sophia's location hadn't moved. The dot pulsed like a heartbeat, mocking her. Elena's mind churned with questions. Why was Sophia there? What was she hiding? And how could she face this night, her diagnosis, her girlfriend's secrecy, without breaking? She found Rachel's building, a sleek glass structure that screamed wealth. The doorman eyed her warily, but Elena slipped past when he turned to answer a call. Her heart pounded as she rode the elevator to the 5th floor, her reflection in the mirrored walls showing a woman she barely recognized, pale, eyes red from crying but resolute. She knocked on Rachel's door, her fist trembling. The door opened and Rachel stood there, her expression shifting from surprise to something unreadable. "Elena," she said, her voice cool. "This is unexpected. Where's Sophia?" Elena's voice was sharp, cutting through the tension. Rachel stepped aside, revealing Sophia sitting on the couch, her face pale. "Elena." Sophia stood, her eyes wide with panic. "What are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing." Elena's gaze flicked between them, her chest tight. "You said you were at work. I needed you, Sophia. I got my test results today." Sophia's face crumpled, and she took a step forward, but Elena held up a hand. "Don't. Just tell me why you're here." "With her." Rachel crossed her arms, leaning against the wall. "Maybe you should ask your girlfriend why she's been texting me for weeks." Elena's stomach dropped. "Is that true?" she asked Sophia, her voice barely above a whisper. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "It's not what you think. I came here to ask Rachel something. About us. About our past." "About what?" Elena's voice rose, her fear morphing into anger. "What could be so important that you're here lying to me, while I'm sitting in a hospital room finding out I'm HIV positive?" The room went silent, the weight of Elena's words hanging between them. Sophia's hand flew to her mouth, tears spilling over. "Oh my God, Elena. HIV positive? When? How?" "Today," Elena said, her voice breaking. "I was waiting for you. I needed you. And you were here with her." Sophia shook her head, stepping closer. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I came here because..." She glanced at Rachel, then back at Elena, her voice trembling. "I needed to know if Rachel was the one who... if she was the reason you might be sick." Elena's breath caught. "What?" Rachel's expression darkened. "Sophia thinks I'm some kind of ticking time bomb. She's been paranoid ever since we ran into each other, accusing me of things I didn't do. Because you were reckless." Sophia snapped, turning to Rachel. "You partied, you slept around, you never cared about the consequences. I needed to know if you were tested, if you were safe, because I couldn't live with myself if I put Elena at risk." Elena's mind reeled. She wanted to believe Sophia, but the secrecy, the lies, it stung too deeply. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, her voice raw. Why go behind my back? I was scared, Sophia admitted, her voice breaking. I didn't want to hurt you. I thought I could handle it, get answers and protect you. Protect me. Elena laughed bitterly. I'm standing here with a diagnosis that changes everything, and you're playing detective with your ex. How is that protecting me? Rachel stepped forward, her voice cutting in. Maybe you two should take this somewhere else. I'm not the villain here. Aren't you? Sophia shot back. You knew how much I loved Elena. You knew, and you still texted me, still pulled me back in. Elena's head spun. She didn't know who to trust, who to blame. The diagnosis was a shadow over everything, but this betrayal, this secrecy felt like a wound all its own. She turned to Sophia, her eyes burning. I'm going home. If you want to fix this, you'll meet me there. Alone. She left without another word, the door slamming behind her. The elevator ride down felt like a descent into her own fears. She didn't know if Sophia would follow, didn't know if their love could survive this night. But she knew she couldn't stay in that loft, surrounded by lies and ghosts of the past. Back in the loft, Sophia sank onto the couch, her face in her hands. Rachel watched her, her expression softening for the first time. You really love her, don't you? Rachel asked quietly. Sophia nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. More than anything. And I might have just lost her. Then go after her, Rachel said, her voice firm. You made a mess, Sophia. Fix it. Sophia stood, wiping her eyes. She grabbed her bag and ran for the door, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. She'd made a mistake, but she wasn't ready to let Elena go. Not now, not ever. The Williamsburg apartment was dark when Elena returned, the silence heavy with the weight of the night. She dropped her keys on the counter, her hands still shaking from the confrontation. The test results sat on the coffee table, a stark reminder of the battle she now faced alone, or so it felt. She sank onto the couch, her mind replaying the scene in Rachel's loft. Sophia's tears, Rachel's smug indifference, the accusation that Sophia had been texting her ex for weeks. Elena wanted to scream, to demand answers, but more than anything, she wanted Sophia to walk through that door and make this right. She loved Sophia, loved her laugh, her passion, the way she made every moment brighter. But love wasn't enough if trust was broken. Her phone buzzed, a message from her best friend, Mia. You okay? You didn't sound good earlier. Elena had texted Mia from the hospital, a brief cry for help before Sophia's absence consumed her thoughts. She typed back, not okay. Got the results. HIV positive. And Sophia's been lying to me. Mia's reply was instant. I'm coming over. 20 minutes later, Mia burst through the door, her curly hair wild, her eyes blazing with concern. At 27, Mia was a force of nature, a nurse who'd seen it all and loved Elena like a sister. She pulled Elena into a hug, not letting go until Elena's sobs slowed. Tell me everything, Mia said, sitting her down. Elena recounted the day, the diagnosis, Sophia's absence, the confrontation in Soho. Mia listened, her face a mix of anger and empathy. Okay, first the diagnosis, Mia said, her voice steady. HIV is manageable now. You're going to be okay with the right treatment. I'll help you find the best doctors, support groups, everything. You're not alone in this. Elena nodded, tears welling up. I know. But Sophia, I don't know if I can trust her anymore. Mia squeezed her hand. You don't have to decide tonight. But if she's worth it, give her a chance to explain. People mess up, Elena. Doesn't mean they don't love you. As if on cue, the door opened and Sophia stepped inside, her face streaked with tears. She froze when she saw Mia, but her eyes locked on Elena. I'm so sorry, she whispered, her voice breaking. I didn't know about the diagnosis. I should have been there. Mia stood, giving Elena a look that said, I'm here if you need me, then slipped into the kitchen to give them space. Elena stared at Sophia, her heart torn between love and hurt. Why didn't you tell me you were talking to Rachel? She asked, her voice low. Why lie? Sophia sat across from her, her hands twisting in her lap. I was ashamed, she admitted. Rachel and we were toxic together. When we broke up, I swore I'd never go back. But when I saw her at the fundraiser, she said things, implied things about her health, about our past. I started wondering if I'd been exposed to something, if I'd put you at risk. I couldn't bear the thought of hurting you. So you went to her instead of me? Elena's voice cracked. I'm your partner, Sophia. We're supposed to face things together. I know, Sophia said, tears falling. I thought I could get answers without dragging you into my mess. I got tested last week, Elena. I'm negative. But I didn't know about you and I was terrified. I should have told you. I was wrong. Elena's chest ached. She wanted to reach for Sophia, to bridge the gap between them, but the hurt was too raw. I don't know how to do this, she said. I'm scared, Sophia. Not just about the diagnosis but about us. How do I trust you now? Sophia moved closer, her eyes pleading. Let me show you. I'll do whatever it takes, counseling, honesty, anything. I love you, Elena. I've never loved anyone like this. Elena looked away, her throat tight. She wanted to believe Sophia, but the diagnosis loomed, a reminder that nothing was certain anymore. I need time, she said finally. I need to figure out who I am with this thing inside me. And I need to know you're all in, no secrets. Sophia nodded, her face crumpling. I'm all in. I promise. Mia reappeared, sensing the tension. How about I stay tonight? She offered. You both need rest and we can talk more tomorrow. Elena nodded, grateful for Mia's presence. Sophia hesitated, then stood. I'll sleep on the couch, she said softly. If you want me here. I do, Elena said, her voice barely audible. But we're not okay yet. Sophia nodded, her eyes filled with regret, and retreated to the couch. As Elena lay in bed that night, Mia's hand in hers, she felt the weight of the future pressing down. She was fighting for her health, her love, her life. And she wasn't sure if she was strong enough for all of it. The morning sun filtered through the apartment's blinds, casting stripes across Elena's face as she woke. Her body felt heavy, the weight of the previous night clinging to her like damp clothes. She was 28, living with HIV, and trying to piece together a relationship that felt both vital and fragile. Mia was already up, brewing coffee in the kitchen. Sophia was on the couch, curled under a blanket, her face peaceful in sleep but marked by dried tears. Elena watched her for a moment, her heart aching with love and doubt. She wanted to crawl into Sophia's arms, to pretend yesterday never happened. But the test results on the coffee table were a stark reminder of reality. Mia handed her a mug, her voice low. You don't have to decide everything today. Focus on you first, your health, your strength. The rest will follow. Elena nodded, sipping the coffee. She'd spent the night researching HIV, reading about treatments, life expectancy, and stigma. The science was reassuring, antiretrovirals could keep her healthy for decades. But the emotional toll was heavier. She felt marked different even if no one could see it. And Sophia's secrecy had deepened that sense of isolation. When Sophia woke, she sat up, her eyes searching Elena's. Can we talk? She asked softly. Elena nodded and Mia slipped out, promising to check in later. The apartment felt too small for the conversation ahead, but Elena didn't want to run from it anymore. I need the whole truth, she said, her voice steady. No more half answers. Why didn't you trust me enough to tell me about Rachel? Sophia took a deep breath, her hands clasped tightly. Rachel was my first love, but she broke me. She was reckless, drugs, parties, cheating. When we broke up, I rebuilt myself and then I found you. You were everything she wasn't. Kind, steady, real. But when I saw her again, she hinted she'd been sick, that she hadn't always been safe. I panicked. I got tested, but I needed to know if she'd exposed me to something that could hurt you. I didn't tell you because I was ashamed of my past, of letting her back into my head. Elena listened, her heart torn. You should have trusted me, she said. I could have handled it. But instead, I'm dealing with this diagnosis and the fact that you were at her house, hiding it. I know, Sophia said, her voice breaking. I was wrong. But I'm here now and I'll do anything to make this right. I want to be with you, Elena, through the doctor's visits, the treatment, everything. Elena looked away, her eyes stinging. I want to believe you. But I'm scared. This diagnosis, it's not just about me. It's about us. What if you can't handle it? What if you leave? Sophia moved closer, her hand hovering near Elena's. I'm not leaving. I'm scared too, but I love you. We'll learn together about the meds, the future, all of it. I'll get counseling, work on myself. Just don't give up on us. Elena's throat tightened. She wanted to believe in their love, in the life they'd dreamed of. But trust was a fragile thing and hers was cracked. I need you to prove it, she said. Not just words. Actions. Sophia nodded, her eyes fierce with determination. I will. Starting today. That afternoon, Sophia booked them a couples counseling session and found an HIV support group in Brooklyn. She sat with Elena as they read through treatment options, asking questions, taking notes. It wasn't a fix, but it was a start. Elena felt a flicker of hope, but the fear lingered. She wasn't just fighting for her health, she was fighting for their future. As evening fell, they walked to the park near their apartment, the same one where they'd had their first date. The cherry blossoms were in bloom, their petals drifting in the breeze. Sophia reached for Elena's hand, and this time Elena didn't pull away. I'm sorry, Sophia whispered. I'll spend every day making this right. Elena squeezed her hand, her heart heavy but open. I'm still angry, but I love you. Let's figure this out together. They stood there, the city humming around them, two women holding on to love in the face of fear. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. 6 months later, Elena sat in a Brooklyn cafe, sketching in her notebook. The lines of her drawing a cherry blossom tree under a vibrant sunset flowed with a confidence she hadn't felt in months. At 28, she was learning to live with HIV, and with Sophia in a way that felt new, stronger. The past half year had been a storm of doctors' visits, therapy sessions, and hard conversations. Elena started antiretrovirals, her viral load dropping to undetectable levels, a small victory that felt monumental. Sophia had kept her promise, showing up to every appointment, every counseling session, her actions slowly rebuilding the trust she'd broken. They joined a support group together, meeting other couples navigating similar challenges. Elena had found strength in their stories, in the reminder that she wasn't alone. But it wasn't easy. There were nights when Elena's fears resurfaced, fear of stigma, of her body betraying her, of Sophia waking up one day and deciding it was too much. Sophia had her own struggles, grappling with guilt over her secrecy and the shadow of her past with Rachel. Yet they faced it together, their love a tether through the chaos. Today they were meeting Mia for coffee, a ritual that had become their anchor. Mia arrived first, her smile bright as she hugged Elena. You look good, she said, eyeing the sketch. That's new. Elena smiled, a real smile, not the forced ones of months past. I'm feeling okay, better. Sophia arrived moments later, her hair pulled back, her eyes warm as they met Elena's. She slid into the booth beside her, their shoulders brushing. Sorry I'm late, she said, kissing Elena's cheek. Work was chaos. Mia raised an eyebrow, teasing. Excuses, excuses. You two are disgustingly cute. You know that. Elena laughed, the sound lighter than it had been in months. She looked at Sophia, at the woman who'd fought for her, for them. We're trying, she said softly. That evening they returned to their apartment, the space now filled with new memories, photos from their support group picnic, a painting they'd made together in an art therapy class. Elena stood by the window, watching the city lights, Sophia's arms wrapping around her from behind. I was thinking, Sophia said, her voice soft against Elena's ear. Maybe we could take a trip. Somewhere quiet, just us. To celebrate you, your strength, your art, everything you are. Elena turned, her eyes searching Sophia's. You mean it? Every word, Sophia said, her voice steady. I'm all in, Elena. Forever. Elena's heart swelled, the weight of the past 6 months lifting, if only for a moment. She thought of the test results, the fear, the betrayal. But she also thought of the love that had carried them through the late-night talks, the shared tears, the quiet moments of rebuilding. She was living with HIV, but she was also living with love, with hope, with a future she could still shape. She kissed Sophia slow and deep, the city humming outside. Let's do it, she whispered. Let's go somewhere and just be. As they stood there, wrapped in each other, Elena felt a truth settle in her bones. Life wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. They'd faced the worst together, diagnosis, betrayal, fear, and come out stronger. Love wasn't a cure, but it was a reason to keep fighting, to keep dreaming, to keep living. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.